Welcome to the UF Sports Report. I'm your host, Alejandra Beltran. Today we have on set UF's football coach, Keys.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I've been better, but we're looking forward to the next game.
Well, my first question for you is going to be, how would you sum up the season so far?
If you talk about strictly results, not real happy about it. You know, we're 1-2 at this point after 3 games. I know we played really 2 tough opponents in the 2 losses, but you know the standard's pretty high and the expectations are extremely high too. And as a staff and as a team, you know, moral victories, you know, they don't exist. But I do like some of the progress. We've had there are a lot of new faces in the program on offense and defense both, and you know, with a lack of inexperience, you know, you're gonna have some growing pains. So hopefully those growing pains are over.
All right. I was going to say, if you could use 3 words to describe your team this year, what 3 words would you use?
I would always, I think, you know, I've been here 9 years now. I would put extreme high work ethic at the top of that. I know there's more than one word, but our guys always work really, really hard. The amount of time they prep, you know, at practice, in meetings, in the weight room, they do just so much to prepare for 11 games. Football is an interesting beast because, you know, you practice so much to play 11 times. Mm-hmm. You know, it's not like some of those other sports. But I would say, you know, high work ethic is one of the few words I'd describe us with. Along with that, I think we're fast. I think we have a lot of team speed on both sides of the ball. And I would say the other word would probably be they're very resilient. There's been some situations early on in the season in all 3 games where I've seen a lot of guys that were in bad situations, you know, handle adversity and move forward.
Well, that's good. I was going to say, my next question is, who have you really seen step up this year on offense and defense?
Offensively, I would probably immediately go to Ruben Flowers. Ruben's a transfer. Initially went to University of Pittsburgh and then went to Independence Junior College, where they actually filmed Last Chance U. So okay. We had to take some of that Last Chance U out of him, but he has really grown leaps and bounds in such a short period of time. You know, we didn't know if he was going to be in school. We didn't know what was going to happen from an eligibility perspective late in the summer. And for him just being here in August and, you know, roughly a month and a half, he's really become a really exceptional receiver and actually leads the conference in reception yards and receptions. I think he's 5th or 6th in the nation. So he's been a real bright spot for a newcomer.
Well, that's very great for Ruben. How does this year's team compare to previous teams?
That's always tough. You know, every year you're trying to put the absolute best team on the field, and you know, every team's so different. You know, in the last 9 seasons, there's been times where we're really strong in the offensive line. There's been times where we've had exceptional, you know, receivers or running backs or certain defensive players. But, you know, the thing I think about this team different than the others is the kind of things you can't see, the team chemistry, the togetherness, kind of that brotherhood. I sense more of a togetherness with this team maybe than the last. But, you know, ultimately every team, at least at the root, in my opinion, because it is, you know, there's a lot we do for our players, but it does go back to the wins and losses. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I think this team will define itself once we finish, you know, the next 8 games. I think I'll be able to compare that team to maybe some others.
Okay. What have been the greatest challenges so far during the season?
The greatest challenges are probably getting the newcomers up to speed. You know, we have 1, 2, I think there are 3 transfers on defense that have been in the program since August. Mm-hmm. So getting them to learn the terminology, to feel comfortable with their position, to get comfortable with their teammates, to get comfortable with maybe a change in how they've been coached at other places. You know, there's a couple guys on the defense side of the ball as well as the offense side of the ball. You know, we replaced a quarterback that broke all the records in University of Findlay history. So we have a brand new quarterback. He has to step into that shadow in those shoes. And like I said, he's been here since August 7th, along with pretty much the entire starting receiving corps. So getting those new guys that we expected to be productive to fast track to get them to be extremely productive and win games has been difficult. But the thing is, we can rely on some of the experience. Even though there's some inexperience at those spots, our offensive line returns 133 starts between them. We have a senior tight end, senior middle linebacker, senior defensive tackle. So it's kind of an odd blend. We have extreme experience at some spots, and in other spots we're very inexperienced.
Well, my next question is, what about successes in the season?
Successes are simple for me. I mean, it's how many games you can win out of the 11. And right now, we're 1-2. But I always say, don't judge a team or make an assessment of a team until the entire season's done. The goals we have for our team are still in place. We have every opportunity to win the conference championship. We still have an opportunity to go to the national playoffs. It's going to be difficult because we have an extremely tough schedule. We knew that, before the schedule started. But, I think the team makeup, the talent, as well as some of the intangibles, I think the pieces are in place that if we keep progressing and keep getting better on a daily basis, we have a shot to maybe accomplish all those goals.
All right. My next question is, when you're recruiting student athletes, what do you look for in a prospective athlete?
Number one, character. We've done a really good job, especially in the last 4 years, of trying to recruit better people. Long story short, when I first got to the University of Findlay, they were 1-10. No one wants to come to a 1-10 program. And I'm not saying that first class was a bad group of guys, but we had to find people that, hey, it might have some things not 100% the way we want them, because nobody wanted to choose Findlay at that point. Since the successes the last 3 or 4 years, we've had the opportunity to really go out and recruit, not only great players, but great people. And, it starts with that. We talk at length to people that aren't directly tied to those recruits. Secretaries, teachers, people that have no really vested interest. They'll shoot you straight. And we want to know what kind of kid we're going to bring into our program, into our school. And then from there, we're looking for the best talent. And from a recruiting perspective, I would like to recruit as many people to our team that's close to University of Findlay as possible. But if they don't hit that standard within such a radius, then we're going to go out and find that standard wherever it may be. We have kids from California on the team. We have kids from Florida on the team. We have kids from all over, North Carolina. So we're going to find the standard if it's not in our backyard.
Okay. Speaking of student athletes, every year we gain and lose new athletes. How does this affect the team cohesiveness?
Every team's different. When you lose seniors, you lose a lot of the things you want out of a player in a program. They understand what your program is, what the work ethic expectations are, what the workload expectations are. And every year you're trying to indoctrinate a new group of freshmen. Okay, this is how we do it. Being on time is being on time, not a second late. I mean, how we conduct ourselves in class. And there's so many things that, you lose when that group graduates. But when you graduate seniors, it does allow for opportunities for others to kind of move into those roles and play a bigger role for the team. And I love the aspect of college football because I like the process where after 4 years or 5 years, and I never want to see anyone go, but you're kind of like challenged with, okay, I got 20 seniors graduate. What do we need to do as a staff to replace those 20 and be even better in the next class? So I like the idea of having to indoctrinate new players, and how fast they can grow in the program is really what allows us to be effective.
Okay. With conference play starting soon, what are your expectations for the rest of this season?
We're already one short in the win-loss column when it comes to conference play. We lost last week. We're 0-1 to the conference. To win the conference, just to be honest, we're going to have to win every game out from a conference play. And hopefully, the team we lost to gets beat along the way. So we're going to need a little help. But from a conference perspective, our goal, and it's always been our goal, when we were in the GLIAC or in the GMAC, is to win the league. And we've fallen short, a few times. We've been second the last couple of years. And, there's been some voids that this team really would like to fill in winning a conference title. Even though we made the playoffs in 2017, I keep telling them we still haven't won a league title. And that's one of those things we're striving to, and that's every day. That's whether it's winter conditioning, summer conditioning, recruiting, player development, on and off the field. That's been the goal, to win a conference.
Okay. I was going to ask, after your tough loss at Ohio Dominican, how do you hope you and the team can bounce back against Alderson Broadus?
Well, the big thing with me and the team and the staff, I think all of us, is our focus is on now. We really don't, we learn from some of our mistakes, and there's no doubt about that. We learn from some of the things we do well, but at the same time, we're not going to dwell upon a win or a loss. I always tell the team, it doesn't matter what the result was last Saturday. Whether you won by 50 or lost by 50, it shouldn't have any bearing on the next game. So, the way our schedule works, we do on Sunday afternoon, we start our week. So the first part of Sunday afternoon is rehashing the game, going through the game film. But I always tell them, as soon as that film session's over and we have talked about some of the things we did or didn't do well in that game, the page is turned. Because if you don't turn the page, it's going to cost you. So, we're going to move forward. I know that there's nothing worse than losing. It's heartbreaking. It's funny. I got a text from somebody after the first loss, which was a tough loss when you lose to the number 2 team and you had a chance to beat them. He said, just be thankful you have a job that breaks your heart. And I guess you can look at that and smile, but it does. It's heartbreaking, those losses, because you put so much time and effort into winning those games. But if you dwell on the losses or I guess, celebrate the wins, you're not going to be as good that following week. I know when after the game, immediately, the first thing it doesn't get any worse. I know me walking to the radio booth to do the post game, I was trying to get hit by a car. So I just wanted to, that's how you feel at the moment. But once that Sunday's film session's over, we're on to the next one.
Well, speaking of moving forward, what is your plan of attack against Alderson?
We need to be better in the first half. That's what's hurt us against them. Last year it was a close game. We were down 14-0 to them, so our first half was not real good. Same thing against Ohio Dominican this past week. We're down 21-3 at halftime. So we need to have a fast start. I know our second game against Northwood, our first home game, we came out and we were guns a-blazing and we're up 31-7, and it went really well because I think the guys came out and had a real sense of urgency and I guess a real purpose for what they were doing, and we need to do that against AB. I know the one thing, they're an 0-3 football team. We're a 1-2 football team. Both teams are hungry for a win, and I know if you allow an 0-3 team to kind of stay with you in the first half, it could be a long game. So I'm hoping that we can come out and play really well in the first half.
Me too. My last question is, obviously each game is important, but what does the homecoming game mean to you and the team? With a lot of alumni and parents in attendance, does it mean a lot to you and the team?
It does. I look back and I look how this program was built, because 1894, I think, is the first year of college football here. You're talking about a ton of guys that have worn the orange and black that have come through this program. And regardless of homecoming, I always tell our team, you're not playing for just the 100 guys currently on the 2019 team. I say you're playing for everybody that's ever wore the orange and black, because regardless of what you think, it's going to happen. And I tell guys all the time, when you graduate, the first thing you're going to do on a Saturday is you're going to check to see if you won. And that's long after your playing days. And it's fun to see some of the guys that, because I coached here as an assistant from 2000 to 2005, and it's great to see some of those guys back, and we reminisce and talk about the same stories, and you see those guys how they become men and how they've grown up, and they have families, they have kids, and it's really neat to have a part of their life, a big part of their life, be Findlay football. And the thing that we have to do, and that's every week, and more importantly on homecoming, I would say, is we got to make sure that every alum is proud to say, I'm a Findlay Oiler when the game's over.
Oh, I like that very much, and that's going to wrap up our interview. Thanks so
I
much
appreciate
for meeting with me.
Yep, no problem. Thanks.
That's it for UF Sports Report. Thank you, Coach Keys. I'm Alejandra Beltran, and I'll see you next time on UFTV.
UFTV is your university and community TV station.